Did Canada refuse your visa? Were you denied entry at the airport? Or maybe you lost your status while you were already inside Canada? If that happened, you may still have one legal option left. It is called a temporary resident permit or TRP. And no, it's not only for entering Canada. Today, I will explain what a TRP really is, who actually needs it, and how immigration officers decide whether to approve it or refuse it. My name is Bahram. I'm a Canadian immigration consultant, and on this channel, I explain immigration rules the way officers actually apply them, not the way internet forums guess about them. So let's start with the basics. A temporary resident permit is a special authorization that allows someone who is inadmissible to Canada to enter or remain in Canada temporarily. It is important to understand one important fact. A TRP does not erase the problem. It simply allows you to enter Canada despite the problem. People become inadmissible to Canada for many reasons. Some common ones include criminal convictions, DUI offenses, misrepresentation in a past application, certain medical issues, or losing legal status while still in Canada. Now, depending on the situation, a TRP may not always be the final solution. For example, if your issue is criminal inadmissibility and enough time has passed since your sentence ended, the proper solution might actually be a criminal rehabilitation, which permanently resolves the inadmissibility. And if you were previously removed from Canada, you may also need something called an authorization to return to Canada or ARC. I have covered these two subjects in a different video which can be found here. So in many cases, a TRP works more like a temporary bridge, not a permanent fix. Another thing many people misunderstand is that the TRPs are not only for people trying to enter Canada at the airport. You can apply for a TRP if you're outside Canada and inadmissible, but you can also apply if you're already inside Canada and you've lost your status, overstayed, or can't restore your status through normal process. In some situations, a TRP can actually legalize someone's stay inside Canada when no other remedy exists. And this is exactly where strategy becomes very important. When immigration officers assess a TRP application, they apply a fairly simple test. They ask themselves one question: does this person's need to enter or remain in Canada outweigh the risk they pose to Canada? In simple words, how badly you need to come or stay in Canada, and what are the risks if they allow you to enter or remain inside Canada? To answer that question, officers look at two sides: risk and need. On the risk side, they considered things like how serious the offense was, how recently it happened, whether there is a pattern of behavior, and whether there is convincing evidence of rehabilitation. On the need side, they look at the reason the person wants to come to Canada. That might include urgent family situations, business needs, humanitarian reasons, or sometimes medical circumstances. If the risk is high and the need is weak, the application will almost certainly be refused. But if the need is strong and the risk appears controlled or low, approval becomes much more possible. Now let's talk about how long TRPs last. A TRP can be issued for a very short time, sometimes just a few days, or it can last for several months. In some cases, it can even be issued for up to 3 years. Some TRPs allow only a single entry into Canada, while other types allow multiple entries. But one thing people should understand is that the TRP never becomes permanent. If someone qualifies for criminal rehabilitation, that is usually the long term solution to criminal inadmissibility. TRPs can sometimes be renewed, but renewal is never automatic. Another important strategic decision is where you apply. A TRP application can be made through a visa office outside Canada or sometimes directly at a port of entry like airport or land borders. Applying at the border means you get an immediate result, but it also means the officers are making that decision under pressure and they don't have much time to spend on your file. And also, there is no appeal if the application is refused, and complex cases can be very risky in that environment. On the other side, applying through a visa office takes longer, but it allows you to present a much more complete application with proper documentation and explanation, which makes the outcome more predictable. Showing up at the airport without a carefully structured case is often nothing but a gamble. Now, let's talk about why many TRP applications get refused. In most cases, refusals happen because of strategy mistakes. For example, sometimes the reason for travel is too weak. Sometimes applicants ignore the risk side of the analysis. Other times, they fail to include court records or proof of their sentence that was completed. In other situations, people apply for a TRP when they actually qualify for a criminal rehabilitation instead. And sometimes applicants forget that if they previously had a removal order, they may also need an authorization to return to Canada. You see, these issues often overlap, which is why it is important to understand the entire structure of the case, not just one part of it. Another important fact is to remember that a TRP does not automatically give you a work permit, a study permit, or a permanent resident, or any type of visa for that matter. However, in some situations, having a TRP may allow you to apply for those visas afterwards. The sequence of application matters a lot. Doing things in the wrong order can easily lead to a refusal. So, if you're dealing with inadmissibility to Canada, don't guess, don't assume that time fixed the problem, and don't rely on random information from here and there. Instead, ask the real question: do you qualify for criminal rehabilitation? Do you need an authorization to return to Canada? Or is a TRP your only option? Where you should apply is very important, like I told you earlier. A TRP can be a powerful legal tool, but only when it's used correctly. If you want a clear answer for your own situation, you can book a consultation with me. I can help you determine whether a TRP actually applies to you, whether criminal rehabilitation would be a better solution, whether you need an ARC, and what strategy makes the most sense. You will find the link to my free initial consultation in the description. And if you want clear, structured immigration explanations like this, subscribe to this channel. It's free. I'll see you in the next video.